Now in this problem, we want to find the factors in the zeros. So to find the zeros, that just means the x-intercepts. So that means make f of x or your y 0 and solve. So I'm going to make that 0 and solve. First thing I'm going to try to do is factor this. This is a 4-term polynomial. I can't factor it normally like a trinomial because it's 4 terms, but I could maybe do it by grouping. If I look at this and group it here, these first 2 terms or these last 2, grouping unfortunately is not going to work. When that's the case that factor by grouping doesn't work, the best way to factor it is to graph it out to look for obvious zeros. So if you graph this out, here's what it looks like. So now you have to be careful. If you have your window set at the standard of 10 to -10, you're not going to see the zoomed in feature here. There actually are 3 real zeros here. It's a 3rd degree polynomial. So if you zoom in on here, you're going to see this. We're going to notice this one is not an obvious 0, nor is this, but this is an obvious 0 at the number 1. What that means is I do know one of the factors already. So if I go ahead and factor this out, I'm going to do this. I know one of them has to be x minus 1. I know there's going to be 2 more. They are real. I can see them, but I'm going to have to find it. So those are the factors. The zeros in this case, I do have one of the zeros already too. So if I label that one of the zeros is the number 1, and I'll find the other 2 here. So to do that, since it's not factorable, I can long divide that factor out. So I'm going to set this up and do some long division. So let's get the long division ready, and I'll just come on in here. We'll do the 8x cubed minus 10x squared minus x plus 3, and long divide out x minus 1. So remember, we want to think about what do we have to do to x to make this x an 8x cubed. I do need an 8x squared, so it's going to be an 8x squared. And then I'm going to multiply that through. Gives me 8x cubed minus 8x squared. Do not forget to come on in and subtract these values, so this changes the signs. And we're now left with here's negative 2x squared minus x plus 3. Continue that another time. What do I do to x to get negative 2x squared? I am going to need to make that a negative 2x. I'm going to multiply that through. Gives me negative 2x squared plus 2x. Come on in and do my subtraction, so that changes this sign. I'm now going to be left with negative 3x plus 3. The last step, what do you do to x to get a negative 3x? I do need a negative 3. And then I'll multiply that through. And that's going to give me a negative 3x plus 3. When you subtract these out, this becomes plus and minus. You get a remainder of 0. So it was factorable. Now we're just left with this particular trinomial. Hopefully I can factor it. If it's not factorable, I'd have to use quadratic formula. So to factor this, I'm just going to give it a try, write my 2 binomials here. The nice thing is negative 3 is prime, so I know that's the only combination. So maybe I will do, negative 3 here and plus 1. That would have to work. So then it just comes down to getting factors of 8. It's either 8 and 1 or 4 and 2, and I'm trying to get that middle term to be a negative 2. So I'm just going to really just play around with this and here. Again, I know they have to be, my x terms are here, so is it 8 and 1 or 4 and 2? If you do this, if you put the 4 here and 2 here and you multiply and check it, what you're going to find, this is going to be a negative 6x. Let's see, this one here is a plus 4x. Combined together is a negative 2x, or negative, yeah, which is exactly what I was looking for. So this is the right factorization. To get the zeros of those factors, again, all we do is we're going to take those factors at like 4x minus 3, set it equal to 0 and solve. That's going to be 4x equals 3. X is 3/4, sorry, is one of them. The other 0, let's take the 2x plus 1, set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract the 1 and divide the 2, so negative 1/2. So from there, I do know those other zeros. The zeros are going to be 3/4 and then a negative 1/2. As a factor, I could write out the factor as the x minus 3/4, and it would be x plus 1/2 would be the factorization of those zeros. And we've answered all parts. They wanted the factors, they wanted the zeros, and we are done.